Welcome to Malvern Books. Thank y'all so much for being here. I'm Becky Gypsy. I'm the manager of the store. And we really appreciate you taking your time here on the Thursday night to be with us here for Novel Night. We're excited to have two great readers here with us, and we're thrilled to hear from them. Our first reader is Dwaines Lawless. Dwaines is a Cajun, and like all Cajuns, she loves telling bayou tales of folk healing and voodoo. A UT Austin grad, art educator, teacher of the blind, mother and grandmother, Lawless has written a gumbo tale spiced with Cajun folklore, secret voodoo rituals, and the mystery of dreams, especially the Cajun nightmare. The cochemere?
Right.
Okay,
Wow.
all right. That was a shot in the dark. This multicultural suspense is a rare, delightful journey into the mysticism of Cajun folk healing, being sure to leave you hungry for more. Dwaines currently lives here in Austin with her husband John and their dog Gypsy. Please join me in welcoming Dwaines.
Well, hi, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Malvern Books for this absolutely wonderful opportunity to share once again my heritage, which is a Cajun heritage. I grew up in Southwest Louisiana and lived there for 33 years and didn't think I would ever move, but life changes, and I ended up coming here to UT. And I didn't think I would be, here for long. I really didn't. A couple of years with my grad stuff, and I would head back. But Austin bit me, and I fell in love with it. And I decided that I needed to stay, and I'm really, really glad I did. I've been here now for 27 years. And I love it. Of course, my mom is still living in Louisiana. I go back and forth and visit with her, and I have to tell you that she was a huge inspiration for the writing of this book, because she is Cajun, of course, but she is one of those rare people in the Southwest Louisiana that still hold on to the language, the traditions, the heritage, and I realized after I had moved away from there how important it was for me to not only remember it for myself, but to remember it for my children, for my daughters, because they're Texans now. And they have no concept of what that means. So in order to be able to preserve that, I found myself doing a lot of research about my own culture and history after I moved here to Austin. So, just as an off the side too, I need to tell you that the cochemere, which is a Cajun nightmare, is different from a normal nightmare, but you may have experienced it, because what it is, and I'm going to ask the audience if you have experienced this, have you ever had a nightmare so gripping that when you woke up, you realized you were still inside it? Anybody? I have. And it's a scary thing. You wake up and you realize you're not awake. You're still dreaming. You're caught in that dream. Yeah. Oh, all of a sudden, yeah. Yeah, of course you could. So where does this story start? It starts off in this reading is the grandmother. And she is very, very, very worried about her granddaughter. She knows something is wrong. And the reason she knows that is because she is a Cajun healer. She's called the guardian of the people. But it's a big secret. You don't talk about that. It's a very, very blessed secret that you keep. And I gotta tell you that I've gotten in trouble at home for writing this book. Not from my mother, but from some of my mother's friends. Okay, so let me begin. Chapter 4. The Cajuns of St. Maryville slept while the red sun of daybreak crept over the land. The morning light was edging its way up the porch and found Momong gently rocking in the new day. This is where she was every morning, a part of her own ritual, her own religion. But the old women knew that with the sunrise, her peaceful time would soon be over. The morning doves cooed, urging Momo out of her chair. Sakur aujourd'hui. Lots to do today. Celine's coming home tonight. She smiled as she imagined her granddaughter on the last day of the school year saying goodbye to all those sweet little blind children and helping the teachers pack up for a well-deserved summer break. She hadn't seen Celine since Christmas, and she missed her deeply. Of course, she talked to her briefly over the phone, but Mama never felt comfortable holding that thing up to her ear. Besides, her hearing wasn't so good anymore. No, she left the phone calls up to Lusa. Chatty fee, it'll be so good to finally see her. Yes, lots to do today. But Mama didn't move. Instead, the old woman sat still, thinking something was not right. She could feel it, taste it. Every pore on her skin vibrated. But what? What was this thing just out of her reach? A storm was approaching. Of that she was certain. All the signs were there. The smell on the air, the strange behavior of the animals as they moved to higher ground. Even this morning, the dew was thicker than usual, its moisture sitting on her chest, making it difficult to breathe. She had seen and felt all this for several weeks, almost 3 months now. Yes, the storm was going to be a bad one. It wasn't a hurricane. She'd felt them before. Audrey in 57, Betsy in 65, even Katrina and Rita. She'd felt long before the weatherman had seen their demonic whirls on his radar screen. The old woman let her head rest on the back of the sun-bleached chair and closed her eyes. A rush of water surged toward her. The bayou Teche flooded and people scattered inside a muddy darkness. She saw men panicked inside a vicious wind as they tried in vain to save their crops. Mama opened her eyes. It looked like a hurricane, all right, only it wasn't. She wished she was sure of the rest. Mama felt the heavy hand of age press her down. Her fingers ran swiftly through the pearl rosary beads, the soft clicking giving her a breath of peace. A deep sigh escaped her wrinkled lips. She pushed the age rocking chair with short, stout legs. Her black lace-up shoes shuffled on the wooden planks of the porch. She gripped the arms of the chair with time-worn hands and stared at the ceiling, her gold-rimmed glasses slightly askew. Mixed in with the coming storm had been dreams. Dreams she had tried to block out. Dreams she hoped meant nothing. But this morning, she forced herself to face them, to the fact that her granddaughter was in trouble. She watched the sun rays dancing around her feet and knew another storm was brewing inside the young woman's heart. One Mama could feel, but not see. Celine, mon cœur, the old woman whispered, my heart, my heart. She smiled as she let her thoughts drift back to the summer of 1946, to the eve of her wedding, and the wonderful fete that came after the rehearsal. That warm evening when everything was quiet and the sweet smell of honeysuckle was on the breeze, Mama's grandmother invited her into the altar room for a special blessing. That was when she learned her family history and the secret that came with it. But there was a price to pay, a vow of silence. No words of the secret could ever be spoken to anyone except her mother and grandmother. Mama could still see the old woman's wrinkled, stern face unbending on this rule. And someday, if the vow had not been broken, she would be granted the right to share the secret with her own granddaughter on the eve of her wedding. Mama remembered feeling confused and scared. How did her grandmother know that she would ever even have a granddaughter? But her fears were shattered when her grandmother laughed louder than she'd ever heard her laugh before. Oh, you will have a daughter and granddaughter, and someday your arms will overflow with grandchildren. Mama's smile faded. Things were different now. Somehow time had slipped past, and Celine was still not married. None of the young men had been right for her. At first, Mama thought that Greg might have been the one, but in the end, he was just like all the rest, Américain, too influenced by all the trappings of American life, always hungry for bigger, better, more. Besides that, he was just another impatient young man. Mama had sensed more than once that he had a low opinion of the Cajun way of life. But then he was one of those Baton Rouge boys. High aspirations for a lawyer's life, his arm draped with a trophy wife. Mama sighed. She was glad that that wedding was off. But what of the great-grandchildren that would overflow in her arms someday? Oh, sure, there was plenty of time. Gone were the days when girls got married at 16. Now they married even as late as 30. Celine was only 28, so there was still time for her to get married and have kids. Mama shook her head. That wasn't the problem. Mama wasn't getting any younger. 87 at her next birthday. Suppose she passed away before Celine married. Then what? Of course, Lucia would reveal the secret to Celine, but Mama grew sad at the thought. I look forward to sharing that special moment with Celine from the minute that child was born. Will I live long enough? Bon Dieu, please don't let me pass before them. In the distance, Mama heard the whine of a crop duster as it sprayed the sugarcane fields with pesticide. It reminded her of modern things and how the earth around her had changed so much. She looked around. The bayou filled everything with a vibrant, fresh smell. No, it wasn't the earth that was changing so much, it was the people, always in such a hurry. Her granddaughter was caught up in that hurried, busy world, work, school, and then there was the broken engagement. Celine was riddled with lots of worries, laced with sadness. Could this be the trouble that was churning inside her? Mama sat still, waiting for the sounds of the bayou to tell her what was inside Celine's heart. She never really knew where the voices came from, but they whispered among the sounds of life. The sudden call of the blue heron flying overhead. The playful splash of the mallard ducks during their morning bath. The throaty croak of the lone bullfrog looking for its mate. Mama listened and heard her old friends, their voices speaking in an ancient but familiar tongue. Mama closed her eyes. Images danced behind her lids. Burning candles, the faces of saints, a box, a doll. The voices grew clearer, stronger. Swirls of gray haze separated Mama from the present world, and without warning, an image of Celine appeared, her face streaked with tears, sobbing, kneeling, surrounded in darkness. Where is she? Mama looked closer. The confessional? Mama could hear Celine's voice. What is she saying? Mama strained to hear, and then she heard something else. A guttural, grinding voice. Something's in there with her. Something evil. Celine screamed. Mama called to her granddaughter with the voice of her soul, but Celine couldn't hear her. Instead, she faded slowly away, her screams echoing in the emptiness. Mama jerked herself back, drawing in a deep breath and fighting back tears of her own. The vision was disturbing, different from the visions she had received before. Celine's image still flickered in front of her opened eyes, a bad sign. Then in an instant, it was gone. Breathless, Mama sat, regaining her calm, clicking her beads. Mama had spent nearly all her life healing people. Some called it a black art. Others called it a blessing. No matter, Mama knew it was something she had to do, a gift given to her by God and taught to her by her mother and grandmother. But the key to it all was waiting for the right moment. It was more than wanting to be healed. The patient had to take responsibility for their part in the illness. Anger, fear, jealousy, hate, all these needed to be faced, or a healing would never happen. Something was tormenting Celine. This was something more than just the stresses of her daily life. No, this was something horrible, and Mama was ready to protect her. The question now was with Celine. Mama rested her head on the back of the chair as she prayed, Si le bon Dieu, God willing. Is she ready? I won't know till I see her, touch her, talk to her, face to face, tonight. And that's it.